Welcome, everyone. It's week 2. Week 1 is in the books. With me today, we have Dave, our defending, or not our defending champ, but a 4-time champ of Better Than Other League. 08, 09, it's 2016 and 2021. And then we have our 2020 runner-up. 2020 runner-up. It's a silver medal, Kevin.
I believe in you, bud.
Still a silver medal. Kevin Jakeway. Welcome, boys. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. So raise your hand if you are 1-0. Yeah. Let's go. Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It feels good to start out the season 1-0.
Feels good to prove Yahoo wrong, them bastards for giving me an F.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Kevin, I didn't see you raise your hand there, buddy. Was everything okay?
I mean, if I would have played either of you, I would have been 1-0, so it's okay.
Yeah, rub it in. Actually, that's kind of one of the worst feelings is like being, 1-0, but like having like 5th or 6th most points scored, or not even. Like it's like, ooh, that was I don't think I deserved that win, but
take it where you can get it.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna do a week 1 recap here. We're gonna take a look at how we played out last week. We're gonna go over to week 1 here. You guys can see the screen there, right? There it goes. All right, so we'll start off with mine and Brad's matchup. Cooper Kupp saved me on Sunday night. He ended up getting me the most catches for a receiver, so I won the mystery prize. I think he had 14? He had like 14 catches, which was ridiculous.
Yes. 21 targets, I think.
Yeah. And then Sean had most points. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. For Sean, where's Shawnee boy at? Yeah, we play for Ricky. Sean had 283, 93. Lamar Jackson, Nico, and then Tyreek, and then Jameson on Sunday Night Football had a huge game for him too. So he ended up getting most points. But mine and Brad's matchup, I was a little skeptical going into Sunday night with Brad having Jamar Gibbs and Laporta, and me just having Cooper Kupp, and not knowing how the Cooper Kupp and Puka dynamic would work out. I was a little nervous, but I ended up squeaking that one out. So Kevin and Ben's matchup. Kevin, I'm so sorry. I was really rooting for Kyron to get some more touches on Sunday night, but unfortunately.
Yeah, me too. And I see that Dave, I think I misspoke earlier when I said I would have beaten Dave, but it looks like, I don't know if Debo had propelled him.
I was going to say I was second most points this week.
I misspoke. I'm also still getting used to everybody's new names here too. So.
Oh yeah, new team names. Yep. Yeah, it's still taking me a little bit too, but obviously we all root for whoever is playing against Ben.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about Ben's team here later. I think we have some thoughts on how his team's shaping up now with injuries and all that kind of stuff too. My prediction was kind of right for Eric and Jimmy's matchup. I predicted that Rachaad White was going to have like the most points for his team. He had CMC that left, or that didn't play on Monday night, and so Eric starting off with not such a good first matchup there. Dave, you beat Spooner. That was a pretty nice handled. You handled that pretty well. Again, Tom pooped the bed. It's funny that Tom and Brad, the two teams that they had someone else draft for them, they both ended up doing very poorly. which is hilarious. And then I don't know.
I gotta add.
Go
I had
ahead.
a pretty sick pickup in Chicago in the middle of the week, and switched to pivot from Miami. They got me 60 points.
Holy cow! Yeah, they did two defensive
2
touchdowns.
They did 2 pick
Two
sixes.
interceptions, 3 sacks. Yeah, Dave, they kicked butt for you. And if it wasn't for them, who was on your bench? Who was your other defense?
Miami would have been. I would have lost, I think, by. I think they got like 20 points or something like that.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah, and Dave, that's why you are the 4-time champion, right? Making moves like that.
Got to be willing to make moves, man.
Right. All right. Moving on, we're gonna head over to. Well, actually, do you guys have any other thoughts about last week's matchups? Anyone need to say anything about those games? I mean, we didn't talk about Nick's and Chris's game. I that is
keep that one out. I think
that's a really tough way to
a
start the season.
brutal beat. Oh yeah, hopefully it's not like a say of what's to come for Nick, but yeah, that was hard to see.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one.
Let's move on to meme of the week. We have Tom. We thank you. We love you for these After Monday memes. They make us smile. They make us laugh, and I really look forward to these every Tuesday. So the first one you put out was A+. Are you going to continue to post stupid memes? Yeah, boy. I probably said yeah, boy, like at least 10 times after I saw you post this and read it. And this was like, it got me pumped up, man, pumped up. And then I have to head over. Don't mean to continue to rub it in to Nick, but I thought this was hilarious. It is one of those just devilish things and mean things to see. Yeah. Anything else you guys liked from from Tom?
I actually haven't seen these yet.
What, Dave? You haven't seen these yet?
I haven't had a chance to go through them.
All right. Well, there you got Eric looking back at his. He had an A+ draft grade.
I feel bad for Eric, man. Losing CMC is so tough. That's so tough.
Yeah, that is really tough. This is more rubbing it into Eric there. Nick can't believe his week one result. And then we have this one was pretty funny too. My daughter drawing a picture of me and my fantasy team driving into week 2. 2 L's. I think we are all marked safe from being in last place. Is that correct?
For now.
For now. Yeah. Yeah. All right, boys. So we have we're heading into a new segment. We're going to talk about some overreactions or, things that, one thing that happened in week 1 that we might be overreacting to or underreacting to, whatever you guys want to come up with. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go. So, I guess my overreaction, and I'm going to steal this from a podcast that I was listening to earlier today, but one of the biggest overreactions that can kind of come out of week 1s are the underperforming of really good fantasy quarterbacks. If you look at dudes like Burrow, even like Kyler had a very mediocre game. I just looked up his stat. He went for 162 and 1 touchdown. And we know that Kyler's always kind of been in that top 5, top 6 ranking among fantasy quarterbacks. So it's when guys like that underperform week 1, I think it's easy for us to overreact, but you got to kind of just take a step back, realize that those are the guys that weren't playing in the preseason. Those guys didn't take many snaps, if any, in the preseason. And it takes a minute or two to gel with some of those receivers, especially if they've got new ones. So I guess my overreaction is if you've got one of those guys, like if you started Burrow last week, or I'm even looking at like my bench, like Goff put up, I think just around 25. I don't even know if he broke 25 points, but hold on to those guys. Don't overreact. It's going to take him a minute to dust the cobwebs off and kind of get in their groove with some of these new receivers. And I think things will work out.
Very well said, Kev. I mean, it's usually visually seen on the field. You can watch it. You can see it while you're watching the games. Is like, oh, that throw was a little off, or or the quarterback kind of gripes at the receiver for not running the correct way. It's just those things are going to happen, especially in week one.
I think the same holds well for the rookie quarterbacks, especially the top level ones like the Caleb Williams, the Jaden Daniels, the Bo Nix. They look terrible this past week. I mean, Jaden Daniels was good because he's got that running ability, but Caleb and Bo Nix just didn't look too good. But middle of the season, end of the season, stream for the playoffs, those guys could be viable options. So along those lines.
Yeah.
I feel like too, like even with those guys, they all played in the preseason quite a bit to kind of get that exposure, but they're playing against like the third and fourth string guys on the opposing defense. So it's a whole new level of speed when you're going against like the ones. And it's just going to take them a minute. It's seeing the field and that quickness. There's a difference, right? There's a reason why those guys are starting and why others aren't. So, yeah, don't overreact.
Yep, definitely. I'll do my overreaction. I might be really overreacting to this, but watching the Bears offense, watching the Browns offense, and watching the Panthers offense, I want nothing to do with any player involved in any of those offenses. Not the quarterbacks, not the receivers, not even the running backs. And again, that might be a little bit of an overreaction, but even though I have one or two players from those teams, it doesn't feel good to start those players yet. I mean, Caleb Williams, like you said not to overreact to this, but I am. He only threw for 95 yards?
It was bad.
Yeah, like 93. Yeah.
And then Bryce, holy cow.
Even
worse. That was just way. And then Deshaun Watson, you could visibly see he just didn't. It's almost like he didn't care when he was out there. And it was just, yeah. So that is my overreaction from week one.
So Jesse, as a Jonathan Brooks manager in Dynasty, are you worried about him going forward?
Not necessarily, no. Just because it is Dynasty. It's not redraft for this year. I don't believe he's going to be like he's not going to be my RB1 or even my RB2 this year for my team. He's someone's going to sit on the IR, sit on the bench, and I'm thinking next year or two he is going to be a stud. He's going to be the next Rachaad White or that next really good pass catching back. So,
well, as the Jonathan Brooks holder in our redraft league here, I can say I'll answer that from a non-dynasty perspective. I'm a lot less excited for him to come back now because I just don't know how much volume he's going to get unless he gets a ton from pass catching. I'm like hoping Ramondre can keep on the path that he's on, but I don't see that happening either.
Yeah.
So it's getting scary.
Yeah. Dave, you want to chime in with your reaction here?
Yeah, so I took mine. I went a little different route. I took a week one performance and kind of attributed it to the draft, ours, and then just in general, like ADP wise. So my overreaction was Joe Mixon in his draft spot. I think that a lot of people overreacted and didn't think Joe Mixon was going to fizzle out this year. There's all these mouths to feed with receivers in the Houston Texans offense. Is he going to get all these touches? And I mean, he got 30 touches. He got, and I think he got like 3 receptions, so 33 touches. In that offense, week 1, for 159 yards and a touchdown. So I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be good this year. And so, I got a few ADP questions for you guys. Going off of our draft board, currently as it sits right now, would you rather have Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon on your team?
Jesse, you want to go first on this? It's a good question.
That's a good question. I'm still going to go Derrick Henry, just because the Baltimore Ravens are a little bit more of a run-heavy offense, and I feel like Henry will get, in the long run, Henry will get more touches than Mixon overall, as long as he stays healthy. I do think Mixon is just on a great offense, and I think the game plan and how it worked for week 1 worked in his favor. I believe that the Texans are going to be a more pass-heavy offense, and you'll start to see that more as the season goes on. So I would take Henry still.
I think I would agree with that too. I think I would have Henry over Mixon. It's a much slimmer margin than what our draft board shows here, but I was looking at in like the projections for Baltimore. They're only supposed to be dogs in like 2 or 3 other games this year. So I think the game script for Derrick Henry for a majority of the year, almost every other game that he's going to play, is going to be favorable to the run. Now, I think the same could probably be said about Mixon, but I think week 1, now that we're talking about overreactions, I don't think we should overreact to, Justice Hill coming in and getting 8 targets, or, Derrick Henry not being as involved, in like the second half. I think he only had, I might be way off with this number, but I want to say
he was
had like 4 touches in the second half.
He was like 60% of the plays, I think. Yeah. And then Justice Hill was like 40.
Yeah. So I think that those numbers are going to separate themselves quite a bit once we see Baltimore playing division rivals like the Steelers or the, like teams that aren't the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. What about this, Kevin? You'll chime in well on this one. Kyron Williams or Derek or Joe Mixon.
I like.
You also have to consider Kyron's got no offensive line now. He's lost, 2 starting left tackles, starting right guard, starting left guard.
And they looked bad. I know Detroit's run defense is really good, and it's only going to get better with Reeder coming back. But yeah, I think I might. I think I would. I could maybe make that trade, Dave.
What about you, Jesse?
I'm sticking with Kyron.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very close, but the offensive line for the Rams did not look good.
No, it didn't look good at all. So yeah, those were my couple guys that I had thought about. Obviously, Derrick Henry's on the older side, Kyron on the younger, is in more of that mix-and roll where he's going to get 80-90% of the touches. So
I think if you look at this draft board just a little bit longer too, like that 3rd round, there were no running backs, right? Like unless I'm missing somebody off to the right. Yeah. So yeah, there are. Jacob's there. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could.
I think after Kyron, it's Mixon over maybe any of those guys in the 3rd, 4th, and even before him in the 5th. So
yeah, that's kind of where my line is. Like I think I would put him ahead of Kyron personally, But I don't disagree with that line there either.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for showing your overreactions, underreactions. I think it's now time to get into the week 2 matchups. We'll share our week 2 tab here. I'm going to go first. We're going to talk about Sean and Spooner. We got last year's champ, Spoondog, versus Sean, who's looking for his second title. Sean looks like he made the right choice with Tyreek Hill over CMC at the number 1 pick. Though I'm still not convinced. This could be another overreaction. He had an amazing week 1. I'm still not convinced, though. I'm still going to hold true to my prediction from last week, is that Sean's going to miss the playoffs. Yeah, he might have the highest score from last week. I know it's bold, but that's what I'm sticking with. But I think he does have some question marks. He's got Mark Andrews. His usage with versus Isaiah Likely last week was a little concerning and a little questionable. So not really sure about that. Sean's also got 4 of his running backs are from 2 teams, which is still he's on a bye week. What's he going to do? And what else we got here? Jameson Williams. He had a breakout game on Sunday night. We've always said his breakout's going to be in 2022 when he was a rookie, and then he didn't. And then we said, it's going to be 2023, and he didn't. And then is this the year? Maybe. And then we got John for Spoondog. He's got Tua going on Thursday night, going on tomorrow night. If Tua is going to have a huge game, it's going to be because of Tyreek Hill on the other side for Sean. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out in John's favor. 3 of Spoondog's receivers here. Chris Olave had a poor week 1 performance. Cooper on the Browns struggling. He had a poor performance. Jaden Reed now may not have Jordan Love to throw him the ball. He may have Malik Willis. Achane being questionable for tomorrow night. Not sure if he's going to play. He's going to have to pivot, maybe. With that said, I think it's I think that's enough for Sean to kind of pull out the W for this week.
Spooner put up a pretty respectable amount of points there in week 1 too, though. But yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah,
there's just a lot going on with Spooner's team.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you guys want to, let's see who's next. We got Ben versus Tom.
Is that me?
I think that was me. I wanted to do Ben since he beat me in week 1.
Sorry, you need me to get on to the matchup. I'm sorry. Let's see.
I think Ben's actually in a pretty similar spot as John potentially. As there might be a couple of injury issues, or at least one big one. So so for this one, I'll start with Ben's team. I'm familiar with them since they torched me last week. So Jalen, I love the Jalen Hurts, and I think he's got AJ Brown down in his flex there. Really, really good stack with the 2 of them. It looks like it might rain in Philly on Monday. It's a long way off. Things change. But if that happens, AJ Brown might be a little less effective. Hurts might resort to running it a bit more, which, might balance each other out. But it's a really good stack. Mike Evans had a monster game. Xavier Worthy had a really good game. I think he only touched the ball 3 times though. And I think he scored 2 on those, 2 out of those 3 times. So he's kind of a question mark for me this year. Like, yeah, he's extremely impressive when he gets the ball, but I just don't know. And if Hollywood comes back this week, I don't know how much opportunity he's going to get. He certainly didn't get a lot this past week, but he made the most of it. So he's kind of a question mark. His volume is, it can go either way, I guess. If he impressed enough, maybe he'll get a few more looks, but I think he only touched the ball 3 times. And then Robinson, I had to laugh when he's like, I have Puka's handcuff. I was like, boy, I don't know if Robinson is the handcuff to Puka, but we'll see. I mean, he might, get obviously a few more looks with Puka out of the lineup. Or it's just going to be the Cup show again, which would make me really sad. I have basically two Rams that I have to go up against back-to-back weeks. But Robinson, who knows? He's another kind of question mark for me. James Conner had a solid week. Warren was okay. If I remember, like he did a little bit with the touches he had, but he was pretty limited too. Schultz, I think Nick was right when he said Schultz is going to be a really good tight end. He wasn't great week 1, but I think he's got potential. And then going over to Tom's side, I think Tom might have the roster that I like a little bit more this week. Dak, I think, is going to be a little more effective. They were up just so much on the Browns that the script wasn't really in his favor last week. So I think he'll put up some more points. St. Brown, that was his floor last week. I think we can agree to that. He'll put up some more points, more solid. Rice, we saw, was a really good wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs. If we're looking at Rice and, across the way at Worthy, I'm going to take Rice every time. Pacheco's a workhorse. He had a great week 1. Cincinnati's run defense didn't look good, even against like Ramondre. So I think Pacheco's going to, potentially have a really big week. Harris had good volume, even comparing the two. Harris had a better week than Warren last week. Trey McBride, I think we can say that was probably his floor last week. And then, if CMC is not playing, Mason's obviously going to be a stud again. So I'm going to give it to Tom this week. Ben does have those kind of question marks that, if they put up the same kind of numbers like Worthy, or, if he gets a few more opportunities, I think that could flip. But I'm going to take Tom.
Yeah. What's the over-under on Ben using $41 of fab money to get a defense? Is it going to make memes next week?
It's not a horrible pickup. I definitely looked at them, but it was like $41 is so much for a defense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely put a bid on them too, but almost half my fab budget. I don't know. He can have them. So
we'll see. Time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Dave, you're up. We're gonna move over to Eric and Brad.
All right. Eric and Brad. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, Eric's kind of off to a rough start this year. It's not having CMC. It looks like he's going to be out again this week too. Already marked as doubtful. Drake London didn't pan out. But besides Bijan, that whole Atlanta offense really didn't get anything going. White should have a good game, PPR type game when playing Detroit. But I think I gotta go with Brad with this one. Even with no receivers, Jared Allen is just that dude. He's gonna carry that team until his back can't carry it no more.
Dave, you mean the Vikings, Jared Allen?
Sorry. Sorry. you know what I meant.
Stallion, Josh Allen.
You know what I meant.
We knew.
The
we knew what you meant.
Josh Allen.
But yeah, Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, Brad's receivers are kind of suspect. You know, I know Harrison Jr. didn't have the greatest game last week. Pickens with Fields throwing the balls is not that good. Brandon Cooks, but I think he has just enough for him to beat Eric this week.
Yeah, not to mention too that I'm pretty sure T. Higgins is still probably in line not to play in week 2 as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So Eric's looking pretty thin in a lot of his positions. I think Jordan Addison may not play either. No Jordan Love. He may have to start Isaiah Likely in a flex spot. I don't know. But yeah, no, I agree that that Brad's taking that one too. All right, I'm moving on. Let's go to Dave and Chris's matchup. We got Call of Murray versus Shake and Bake. Both of you guys are coming off week 1 wins, and both got high hopes. And for Dave, with Kyler Murray, he's always going to get his. You know, with a poor defense, he's always going to be running the ball. He's always going to get his points. The receivers can have a nice game at any moment. Samuel was peppered with targets in week 1. Brian Thomas Jr., even though being a rookie, he caught a touchdown pass from Trevor Lawrence. Michael Pittman had a big target share for the Colts. So those are some nice receivers. Bijan and Kamara, the 2 running backs who are just like, there's no one really behind them. So they're getting touches pretty frequently. And Devontae Smith, he's just a stud wide receiver. For Chris, yes, his running backs are. Like I said in week 1, he has awesome running backs: Taylor, Henry, and then Dave, your love affair with Joe Mixon. Though I'm not convinced his receivers are still the bottom of the barrel kind of receivers. He still needs to make a move if he wants to compete and make it to the playoffs and go far. He needs to trade one of his stud running backs for a stud wide receiver, and I think that could take his team a little bit over the top. It's going to be a sneaky close game. Dave, it's going to come down to Monday night, and I think you're going to pull out the win with Bijan, Pitts, and Devontae Smith kind of bringing you from behind. So next we have Nick versus Jimmy. Kevin, take it away.
Yeah. I think I said, or maybe even earlier this week, that I like Nick's team, I think, the most out of the draft. And then they kind of, they didn't do so hot in week 1. Looking at Jimmy's team, you got Joe Burrow, underperformed greatly in week 1. It was one of the guys that I talked about in my Don't Overreact segment. I think he's going to have a much better game this week, even without Higgins. I think he's going to have a pretty solid week. He's going to be playing against Kansas City. They're a good defense, but it's probably going to favor him in the game script to be throwing the ball a lot. Wilson's solid. Diggs is solid. Allen is, I don't know is Allen expected to play this week? I thought he might be doubtful, but it looks like he's been upgraded to questionable. His big hitter is obviously Saquon. If Saquon can get a good rain shower up there in Philly on Monday night, that might help him quite a bit. Swift had a pretty decent game. As bad as the Bears offense looked, he looked okay. I think Kelsey will have obviously a much better week. Moss, he might do fine, especially if like Higgins is out. Someone's going to have to eat some of those touches. And then that's Jimmy's team on the left. And then Tom's team, I just think Tom's team might have a little more potential here this week.
Nick's team.
Baker and Godwin is the big one. If you look at how they were using Puka before he got injured, he's running motion out of the slot, and he was open every time. And he was just dumping it off. I think if he didn't get hurt, he might have had close to 20 targets, like we saw Cup get. So I know Godwin's running out of the slot this year. If they keep him in the slot for this game and they kind of take a page out of LA's playbook, I think Baker and Godwin could be a huge connection this week. Jefferson's really good. Probably going to have another game script against San Francisco where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. McLaurin, the Giants defense is so bad. ETN should have a better game. I know Bigsby kind of ate into his workload a little bit. He fumbled. Didn't ETN fumble right on the goal line too last week, I think? So, I mean, he was, that bad fumble away from probably getting another 10 points last week. James Cook's really solid. That'll be fun to watch tomorrow night. That'll be a pretty good Thursday night game between Buffalo and Miami. Parkinson was a good pickup. Aaron Jones is solid. So, I think I'm going to give it to Tom this week, or to Nick this week. Sorry, Nick's on the right. Yeah, I think we're going to go Nick with this matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. Jimmy with the Chargers defense pickup going against Carolina.
Stream against Carolina.
Yeah,
there was a play I saw that Bryce Young had lined up behind the guard, and Chuba Hubbard pushed him over so that he was behind the center. They were just such a mess. So LA's not a bad pickup.
Yeah. Do you guys know how many points Jake Moody scored last week?
Probably.
It's got to be in the 40s.
He
had 6 field goals.
He had 28.6 points last week.
It's a lot. It's a lot for a kicker.
6 made field goals. But 246 yards worth of field goals.
That's crazy.
And then, tack on the extra points too. So I'm going to make a trade for Jake Moody.
Michigan man.
Cup. See how it goes this week.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Last but not least, we saved the best for last. Dave, bring your A game because you're talking about me and Kevin.
So this matchup, I kind of flopped mid-show, did a little flip-flop mid-show.
Ooh.
So we'll start on Jesse's side. I think Jamar Chase has a bounce-back week this week. He had 6 targets. Last week didn't really look in sync. The whole offense in Cincinnati didn't look in sync last week. So I think Jamar Chase has a bounce-back week this week, and has a more Jamar Chase type finish. Same with Cooper Kupp going against a terrible Arizona defense. Jerome Ford should be fine against Jacksonville. Kincaid against Miami. I expect that game to be a high scoring game, so Kincaid will get some points there. And then on Kevin's side, I like Richardson this week against Green Bay. I think that they'll have a little more conservative approach this week with Green Bay being without Jordan Love, and so we might see Richardson run the ball a little bit more and take a little less riskier passes. So should lead to more efficiency than what he did last week. CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, expect big games out of them. Neighbors, we'll see against Washington. He didn't have the greatest game last week, but this Washington defense is not very good, so maybe Daniel Jones will have a bounce back. And then same with the Cooper Kupp. I like Kyron this week against the bad Arizona defense. Ramondre Stevenson against Seattle. I think that'll be a tight game, kind of back and forth. low scoring game, so he should get a lot of volume. Um, and then let's see. I like Bach Bowers. Bach Bowers is he's kind of a sneaky good tight end. He had a huge target share last week. He had more targets than Devontae Adams. So I think he'll be needed this week against Baltimore. LA or Las Vegas will be down, so I think he's going to get a lot of targets again. So with that being said, I think it's going to come down to two particular things: C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell against Chicago's defense. I think Chicago has a legit defense this year, and I kind of see C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell kind of having a struggle game this week against Chicago. Even though their offense isn't very good, I think Chicago's defense is going to step up and keep them in the game. And then Walker hasn't practiced at all this week yet with his oblique injury. So is he going to play? Is he not going to play? If Walker doesn't play for you, Jesse, then that's a huge hit to your team, I feel like. So I'm gonna give the win to Kevin this week in a little upset fashion.
Thank you, Dave. I did see. As soon as I saw that Walker hadn't been practicing, I looked up. I'm like, who's got Charbonnet? And then I was like, oh shoot, Jesse's got Charbonnet. So
I do,
yeah.
And he had a pretty good week. Honestly, Charbonnet played really well last week too. But I appreciate it. I'll take the win.
Yeah. Hey Dave, can you say Kevin's tight end name again?
Kevin's tight end?
Yeah. Who is it?
Brock Bowers.
Oh, okay.
Nailed it.
Sounded like you were saying Bach.
Brock Bowers.
Bach Bowers. Yeah. Sound like you're saying Bach.
No,
that's okay. All right. All righty, boys. That does it for the week 2 matchups. Any final words before we do the mystery prize?
Just hope Deontay Johnson does more than he did last week. But after seeing what Carolina is capable of, I don't know if he will.
Hey, there should be no overreactions to week 1. It's just week 1, guys.
I know. I'm holding on to Dave's young quarterbacks looking not great. Yeah. I know Bryce Young's not a rookie, but
and you know what?
Still young.
I especially have that message to Eric. Eric, if you're listening, it's just week 1, buddy. It's just week 1.
Yep.
We have 13 more weeks left to play of fantasy football. Things can happen. All right, you guys ready for the mystery prize?
Let's do it.
All righty. Drum roll, please. This week's mystery prize, week 2, is the tight end with the most points.
Let's go Bach.
Let's go Bach Bowers. Bach.
Back.
All right. We're signing off. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bills, Dolphins on Thursday night. Let's get it.
Luck this week, fellas.
Good luck.
Peace out, guys. Jesse. See you later.